Ravi had never seen a planet like this before. The sky glowed with colors he could not name. The ground shimmered with small crystals, and strange towers rose into the clouds. He walked carefully, his boots crunching on the glittering surface. He was here to study the alien colony and learn how different species lived together. Humans were rare in these parts, and he felt both nervous and excited. The colony was alive with movement. Aliens of all shapes and sizes went about their business. Some floated above the ground, some moved on many legs, and some had wings that shimmered in the sunlight. But one figure stood out among them all. A young alien girl with bright eyes and scales that reflected the sun was standing near a market stall. Her long tail curved behind her like a living ribbon, swaying gently. She seemed different from the others. Curious, cautious, and full of life. Ravi walked slowly past her, careful not to stare too much. The girl tilted her head and studied him. Her eyes were sharp but not unkind. She whispered something to herself, and her tail twitched as if sensing him. Ravi felt a shiver run down his spine. He had read about alien behavior in his books, but seeing it in real life was different. Something about her presence made him feel both anxious and protected. As he moved closer to the market, a group of rough-looking miners blocked his path. They were tall, muscular, and had sharp features. Their eyes narrowed when they saw a human in their colony. One of them stepped forward. "This human should not be here," the miner said. "He does not belong in our market." Ravi tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. He did not want trouble. He simply wanted to observe and learn. Before the miners could act, the alien girl moved swiftly. She stepped in front of Ravi and wrapped her long tail around his waist. The movement was fast and fluid, like a dance. The miners stopped, surprised. The girl looked at them with eyes full of fire. "He is mine now," she said firmly. Her voice was soft, but there was no doubt in it. Ravi froze. He did not understand what was happening. "Yours?" "I do not," he started to say, but she tightened the hold just a little, as if to say she would protect him no matter what. The miners hesitated. None of them had seen anyone claim a human before. The girl's tail was not just a part of her body. In her culture, wrapping the tail around someone meant protection, trust, and belonging. Ravi felt the warmth of her scales against his clothes. It was strange but not unpleasant. Somehow, it made him feel safe. The miners looked at each other and then slowly stepped back. Ravi's heart was still racing. He did not know the rules of this colony, but it was clear that the girl's action had changed the situation. The market returned to its usual noise, but whispers floated around them. Some aliens looked curious, some looked shocked, and some looked disapproving. The girl kept her tail around Ravi. She looked at him and smiled faintly. "Do not be afraid," she said. "I will keep you safe." Ravi nodded slowly. He still did not understand why she had chosen him, but he felt that arguing would be useless. Something about her presence demanded respect. Something about her claim carried weight. He had read about alien traditions, but feeling it in real life was entirely different. "My name is Ravi," he said finally. "I am a human." "I am Lyra," the girl replied. "You are with me now. You will not be harmed while I am near." Ravi looked around. The market was still busy. Aliens sold crystals, strange fruits, and devices that hummed with energy. Some paused to watch him and Lyra. He could feel their curiosity pressing on him. He wondered what it would mean to be claimed in this way. Lyra's tail was strong but gentle. It did not hurt him, but it reminded him that he was not alone. She walked beside him, guiding him through the crowded streets. Ravi had to be careful not to bump into anyone, and he noticed that people made way for them as they passed. Her presence commanded respect. "Why me?" Ravi asked after a while. "Why did you choose me?" Lyra looked at him with her large eyes. "You are different," she said simply. "You are kind. You do not push others around. You do not fear me. That makes you worthy." Ravi felt a mix of pride and confusion. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a human, visiting an alien world. Yet, here he was, protected by someone powerful and respected in her colony. As they moved through the market, Ravi noticed small things about Lyra. How her tail moved with her emotions, how her eyes could seem playful one moment and serious the next. He realized that her culture was complex, and every action had meaning. Being wrapped in her tail was more than a claim. It was a signal to others that he was under her protection, and that they should not interfere. By the time they reached the edge of the market, Ravi had calmed down slightly. He had survived the first encounter and learned something about trust, even in a world so different from his own. Lyra unwrapped her tail just enough to let him walk beside her, but it still rested lightly on his back. "You will need to learn our ways if you stay," Lyra said. "It is not enough to be human. You must understand respect, tradition, and courage." Ravi nodded. He did not fully understand what lay ahead, but he felt a strange excitement. This world was dangerous, unpredictable, and filled with wonder. And somehow, he knew that Lyra's presence would change everything. As they walked away from the crowded market, Ravi could not stop glancing at her tail. It was not just a part of her body. It was a symbol of trust, of challenge, and of a bond that could grow stronger than either of them expected. He took a deep breath and followed her into the streets of the alien colony, ready for the adventure that awaited him. The next morning, Ravi woke to the sound of the alien colony stirring. Strange calls and melodic voices echoed through the crystalline towers. He rubbed his eyes, feeling the lingering warmth of Lyra's tail from the day before. The memory of her claim stayed in his mind. He had never imagined that a simple encounter could change everything so quickly. He dressed quickly and stepped out into the streets. The market was quieter now, but hints of curiosity lingered in the air. Aliens of all kinds glanced at him and Lyra as she approached. She had already begun her day, her tail moving gently behind her, a symbol that she had not let go of her claim. "Do people often stare at humans?" Ravi asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Sometimes," Lyra replied. "They are curious. But today, they are also cautious. When I claim someone, it changes how they see you. Some respect it. Some do not understand it." Ravi frowned. "So, I am yours now?" "Yes," she said simply. "It is not ownership in the way you think. It is a bond. Protection. Trust. And it is serious. You cannot ignore it." Ravi felt a strange mix of pride and worry. Humans had bonds, too, but none like this. He had read about alien customs, but feeling them firsthand was different. The weight of the claim was both comforting and heavy. It reminded him that he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of her world now. Lyra led him to a quiet plaza where crystal fountains sprayed water in intricate patterns. The plaza was empty except for a few merchants preparing their stalls. She stopped and faced him. "You must learn our ways," she said. "Being claimed is not just about protection. It is about respect. You must respect me and my people. You must understand that some actions have meaning beyond words." Ravi nodded slowly. "I will try. I want to understand. Lyra's eyes softened. That is why I chose you. You are patient. You listen. You do not judge without seeing. Those are rare qualities, even among humans. Ravi felt a small smile form. I never thought of myself as rare. Just ordinary. Ordinary humans can be extraordinary when they are tested, Lyra said. You will see. They walked together through the colony. Ravi noticed how the aliens made way for them. Children waved, some whispered, and adults nodded in respect. Lyra's claim had not just affected him. It had sent a message. Being wrapped in her tail was a visible sign that she had accepted him, and others must acknowledge it. As they passed a group of traders, one of them, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms, approached cautiously. Lyra, he said. Do you understand the consequences of claiming a human? I do, she replied firmly. Ravi has shown respect and courage. He is worthy. The trader's multiple eyes narrowed. Humans are unpredictable. Claiming one could bring trouble. Ravi felt a pang of worry. He did not want to cause trouble for Lyra. I will not be a problem, he said quietly. I only want to learn and explore. Lyra glanced at him. I trust you, she said. That is all that matters. The rest of the day passed with lessons. Lyra showed Ravi how her people communicated through gestures and subtle movements of the tail. She explained their customs around markets, greetings, and respect. Every action carried meaning, and Ravi tried his best to understand. It was overwhelming, but he found it fascinating. At one point, a group of young aliens approached, curious and playful. They circled Ravi, whispering and pointing. One of them tried to touch his arm. Lyra's tail moved in a protective sweep, placing itself lightly around his shoulders. The gesture was clear, this human is under my care. Do they always react this way? Ravi asked. Only when they see someone claimed, Lyra said. It is a warning and a reminder. You are not alone. You are under my protection. Ravi felt a warmth in his chest. It was strange to think that a tail could make him feel safe, but it did. He looked at Lyra and realized that her bond was not just physical. It was emotional. Her trust in him was visible in every movement, every glance. By evening, they reached a small terrace overlooking the colony. The sky glowed with colors Ravi had never seen. He breathed in the alien air, feeling a sense of wonder. Ravi, Lyra said, do you understand now what it means to be claimed? I think so, he replied. It is not about ownership. It is about trust, respect, and protection. It is a bond that changes how people see you. Exactly, she said. And tomorrow, you will meet more of my people. Some will be skeptical. Some will be curious. You must be patient and listen. That is how bonds grow. Ravi nodded. He felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Being part of Lyra's world was not simple, but he wanted to learn. He wanted to honor her trust. As they watched the sky together, Ravi noticed how her tail rested lightly around his waist. It was no longer just a claim. It was a connection, gentle and steady. He realized that the day's events had changed him. He was no longer just a visitor in the colony. He was part of something larger, something he did not yet fully understand but was eager to explore. Lyra smiled at him. You are brave, Ravi. Many humans would run away. You stayed. You learned. That is why you are with me. Ravi felt a small smile in return. He had not known what to expect, but he had survived the day. More importantly, he had earned a place in her world. And somehow, that made all the fear and confusion worthwhile. As the light of the alien sunset bathed the terrace in soft colors, Ravi knew that his adventure had only just begun. Being claimed by Lyra was not a burden. It was a challenge, a lesson, and a promise. And he was ready to face whatever came next. The morning sun spread gentle light over the alien colony. Ravi stepped out of his temporary quarters, feeling the cool breeze against his face. The events of the previous days still played in his mind. Being claimed by Lyra was strange, but it had made him feel safe. He realized that there was much more to learn about her people, and today he would start to understand their way of life more deeply. Lyra was waiting for him near a crystal-lined path. Her tail curled and uncurled gracefully as she watched him approach. "Good morning, Ravi," she said, her voice soft but confident. "Today, I will show you the heart of our colony. You must pay attention. It is not enough to see. You must understand." Ravi nodded. "I am ready," he said. They began walking through the colony. The streets were busier now, filled with aliens of all shapes. Some moved gracefully on multiple limbs, while others glided above the ground. Ravi had learned to keep pace with Lyra, careful not to bump into anyone. The gentle pressure of her tail around his waist reminded him that she was near. It was not controlling, but guiding. Lyra led him to a large open plaza where alien children played a game that looked like a mix of dance and sport. They moved with quick, precise steps, and their tails and limbs created patterns in the air. Ravi watched in amazement, trying to understand the rules. Lyra smiled at his fascination. "Our games are not just for fun," she explained. "They teach focus, cooperation, and respect. Every move has meaning, and every player must watch and learn." Ravi nodded and tried to mimic some of the movements. The children giggled and welcomed him carefully. Lyra's presence protected him, but it also gave him confidence. For the first time, Ravi felt that he could belong, even for a moment, in this alien world. After the game, Lyra led him to a workshop filled with strange tools and devices. Aliens were shaping materials, crafting objects that hummed with energy. Ravi was fascinated. He had never seen anything like it. "These devices are part of our daily life," Lyra said. "We use them for communication, protection, and study. Every item has a purpose. You must learn to observe and respect it." Ravi spent hours watching the artisans work. He noticed how precise their movements were and how much care they gave to every detail. Lyra explained the significance of each tool and its connection to their culture. Ravi asked many questions, and she answered patiently. By midday, Ravi felt exhausted but excited. He had learned more in one day than he had in months of study. Lyra noticed his fatigue and led him to a quiet garden filled with alien plants. Some glowed softly in the sunlight, while others swayed as if they had a life of their own. "Sit here," Lyra said, pointing to a smooth stone. "Take a moment to rest. Learning is important, but understanding comes from observing." Ravi sat down and watched the garden. He realized that Lyra's people valued balance and harmony. Everything had a purpose, and respect was central to their lives. He thought about how different this was from human colonies he had visited. Lyra's tail rested lightly against his back, a constant reminder that he was not alone. "You have done well today," Lyra said, sitting beside him. "You watch, you listen, and you try. That is why I claimed you. Not because of strength, but because of your heart." Ravi felt a warmth in his chest. He had never been praised like this before. "I want to understand more," he said. "I want to be part of your world, even if only a little." Lyra smiled. That is the first step. Understanding comes from effort and patience. You must always remember that our bond is not just mine to give. It is shared. You have chosen to accept it, and that makes it strong. As the sun moved lower in the sky, Lyra led him to a small amphitheater where adults gathered for a meeting. Ravi realized that being claimed also meant he would witness important decisions. Lyra introduced him carefully, explaining to the elders that he was under her protection. Some elders looked curious, others skeptical. One elder with silver scales approached Ravi. "A human," she said. "We do not often see them in our colony. What makes this one worthy?" Lyra's tail wrapped gently around Ravi's waist. "He has respect," she said. "He does not fear us. He listens and learns. That makes him worthy in our eyes." The elder studied him carefully. Ravi felt nervous but remembered Lyra's words. He straightened his back and met her gaze calmly. "I only wish to learn and understand your ways," he said quietly. The elder nodded slowly. "Then you will have your chance. Observe, learn, and respect. Actions speak louder than words." Ravi felt a sense of pride. He had faced the scrutiny of Lyra's people and remained calm. Her trust in him felt even more real now. He realized that being claimed was not about control. It was about mutual respect and understanding. After the meeting, Lyra led him through the quieter parts of the colony. She showed him homes, gardens, and workshops that few outsiders had seen. Ravi marveled at the variety and beauty of the places. He also noticed how the colony functioned smoothly. Every individual had a role, and every role mattered. Lyra's people were strong not just in body but in mind and spirit. "You see, Ravi," Lyra said, "our strength is not only in combat or skill. It is in knowledge, respect, and cooperation. That is why humans are interesting to us. You have the courage to step into the unknown and the mind to understand it." Ravi felt a deep respect for her people. He had always thought humans were unique, but now he saw that strength could take many forms. He also felt gratitude for Lyra. Without her, he would have been just another visitor, ignored and forgotten. Her trust had given him a place in this alien world. As evening approached, they returned to the terrace where Ravi had watched the sunset the day before. Lyra's tail wrapped around his waist gently, a familiar comfort. They sat together, watching the sky glow with colors he had never seen. "You are learning well," Lyra said. "Tomorrow, I will teach you about our traditions in greater detail. You must understand them to fully belong. But today, you have taken the first step." Ravi nodded, feeling a sense of peace. He had faced curiosity, learned new skills, and earned a place among Lyra's people. The bond between them had grown stronger, not just through her claim, but through shared experiences and understanding. As the light of the alien sun faded, Ravi realized that this bond was more than protection. It was friendship, trust, and the beginning of a journey that would change him forever. Lyra's tail rested lightly against him, and he knew that as long as she was near, he would face whatever came next with courage and confidence. The next day, the colony was buzzing with more activity than usual. Ravi noticed the glances that followed him as he walked beside Lyra. Some were curious, others cautious, and a few seemed openly disapproving. Being claimed by Lyra had brought him attention he had never experienced before, and not all of it was friendly. As they entered the central plaza, a group of alien merchants and workers gathered nearby. Whispers traveled quickly, carrying a mix of doubt and surprise. Ravi felt a twinge of worry. He had hoped that Lyra's protection would be enough, but he realized that not everyone accepted humans so easily. One of the colony leaders, a tall alien with deep green scales and a serious expression, stepped forward. His many eyes scanned Ravi and Lyra carefully. "Lyra," he said in a firm voice, "we must speak about your decision. Humans are not part of our traditions. Claiming one may bring challenges we are not ready for." Lyra did not hesitate. Her tail wrapped lightly around Ravi's waist, a protective gesture. "I understand the concern," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But Ravi has shown respect, patience, and courage. That makes him worthy of my protection. He is not a threat to our traditions." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Our traditions exist to protect the colony. Humans are unpredictable. Your actions may create tension." Ravi felt nervous, but he stayed beside Lyra. He realized that this was part of being claimed. It was not just about safety or friendship. It also meant facing scrutiny and proving that he belonged. He took a deep breath and spoke. "I do not wish to disrupt your traditions," he said quietly. "I only want to learn and understand. I will follow your ways as best as I can." The leader studied him for a long moment. Then he looked at Lyra. "We will allow this for now," he said slowly. "But there will be tests. You must prove that this bond does not harm the colony. If you fail, the claim may be reconsidered." Lyra's tail pressed gently against Ravi, a silent message of reassurance. "We will face the tests together," she said. The tension in the plaza was palpable. Aliens whispered among themselves, some nodding in approval, others shaking their heads. Ravi felt the weight of their judgment. Being claimed was not a simple matter. It carried responsibility, and he realized that he had to be careful in every action. Over the next hours, Lyra introduced Ravi to more members of her clan. Some were welcoming, curious about the human who had earned her trust. Others were skeptical, watching him closely, waiting for a mistake. Ravi did his best to remain polite and attentive. He asked questions, listened carefully, and tried to understand their customs. During a break, a young alien approached him cautiously. "Do humans always stay calm?" the alien asked, curiosity in their voice. Ravi smiled. "Not always," he admitted. "But I want to understand your people. That helps me stay calm." The young alien nodded, impressed. "You are different from what I expected," they said. Lyra smiled at Ravi. "That is why I chose him," she whispered. "He learns. He listens. That is rare." Later in the day, a small group of miners who had confronted Ravi before appeared again. Their expressions were hard, and their bodies were tense. One of them stepped forward. "This human does not belong here," he said. "He cannot understand our ways. He should be removed." Lyra moved in front of Ravi. Her tail coiled protectively, but not threateningly. "He is not yours to judge," she said firmly. "He is under my protection. You will not harm him." The miners hesitated, sensing the strength in her voice and the power in her stance. Slowly, they stepped back, muttering among themselves. Ravi felt a mix of relief and admiration. He had never seen anyone handle a situation like that before. Lyra's claim was more than symbolic. It was real, powerful, and demanding respect. As evening approached, Lyra led Ravi to a quiet terrace overlooking the colony. The tension of the day weighed on him, and he needed to rest. Her tail rested lightly against his back, a gentle reminder that she was near. "You did well today," Lyra said. "You faced scrutiny and remained calm. That is not easy for humans. Many would have panicked or argued. You showed patience and respect." Ravi nodded slowly. "I only want to belong here. I do not want to cause trouble." That is why you are with me, Lyra said. Being claimed is not about ownership. It is about trust, protection, and learning. You have earned that trust. Ravi realized that her words were true. He had felt nervous and unsure all day, but he had survived the scrutiny and remained respectful. That was part of being claimed. It was a challenge, but it was also a privilege. Later, as the sun set, the colors of the sky painted the colony in shades of pink and gold. Lyra's tail wrapped gently around him, a comforting presence. Tomorrow, she said, we will continue your lessons. You will meet more of my people, and some may not welcome you. You must remain calm and respectful. That is the way to earn true acceptance. Ravi looked at her and nodded. He understood now that being claimed was more than safety. It was responsibility, patience, and courage. It was about proving that he could be trusted in a world very different from his own. As they watched the sky together, Ravi felt a growing respect for Lyra. Her people were strong and proud, but she had chosen to trust him. That trust was not given lightly. It was a gift, and he would do everything he could to honor it. The day had been difficult, filled with judgment and uncertainty. Yet, Ravi felt a quiet pride. He had faced the challenge without fear. He had learned about her people and gained their attention. More importantly, he had begun to understand the meaning of the bond between him and Lyra. Her tail rested lightly against him, and he felt a sense of comfort and determination. Being claimed was not just about her protection. It was about learning, respecting, and proving himself worthy. And Ravi was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The colony lights began to glow as night fell, and Ravi knew that this was only the beginning. Being claimed by Lyra had brought him into a world full of challenges, wonder, and responsibility. And he was determined to meet each one with patience, respect, and courage. The morning air was crisp, and the crystal towers of the colony reflected the first light of the sun. Today was different. Ravi could feel the tension in the streets as he walked beside Lyra. Word had spread that there would be a trial to confirm whether he could remain under her claim. He had never faced a formal challenge before, but he knew that it was an important test of trust and respect. Lyra's tail rested gently around his waist, guiding him through the crowd. "Stay calm," she said softly. "Today is not about strength alone. It is about courage, respect, and understanding. You will need all of these." Ravi nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He had observed Lyra's people, learned their ways, and practiced patience. But now he would need to show that he could act when it mattered most. He realized that the trial was not just about him. It was about proving that humans could be trusted in a world very different from their own. The plaza where the trial would take place was wide and open. Several members of Lyra's clan had gathered, their eyes focused and serious. The colony leader stood at the center, his expression unreadable. "The trial will begin," he announced. "It will test courage, quick thinking, and respect for our traditions. Any action that endangers the colony will be counted against the human." Ravi swallowed. He looked at Lyra, whose tail pressed reassuringly against his back. "I am ready," he said quietly. The first part of the trial was a challenge of observation. Several devices, crafted from alien materials, were arranged across the plaza. They emitted strange sounds and lights, each responding differently to touch. Ravi's task was to identify which devices were safe to approach and which could trigger alarms. He moved slowly, keeping his focus. Lyra whispered instructions about how the devices reacted, but Ravi needed to use his own judgment. He observed carefully, remembering the patterns he had seen in the workshops. Step by step, he identified the correct devices, avoiding mistakes. Each success brought a small nod of approval from the elders. Next came a test of cooperation. Two groups of young aliens were given a task to transport fragile items across the plaza. Ravi was asked to assist without disrupting the rhythm of their movements. He watched carefully, understanding their gestures and signals. When a young alien hesitated, Ravi stepped in gently, guiding them without taking control. The task was completed smoothly, and the elders murmured in approval. Then came the final challenge. A sudden alert signaled danger in the colony. A malfunction had caused a small energy barrier to flicker unpredictably. If not fixed quickly, it could trap several people inside. Ravi realized that this was not a staged part of the trial. Lives could be at risk. He looked at Lyra, who nodded slightly, trusting him to act. Ravi approached the malfunctioning device, recalling what he had learned in the workshops. He examined the wiring and carefully adjusted a few components. The barrier stabilized, and the people inside were able to exit safely. Lyra's tail wrapped around him more firmly, a sign of pride and reassurance. The crowd erupted in murmurs of admiration. The elders stepped forward, their expressions softening. The human has acted with courage, patience, and intelligence, the leader said. He has proven that he can be trusted. Lyra's claim is confirmed. Ravi felt a rush of relief. He had faced scrutiny, learned new skills, and acted under pressure. But more than that, he had realized that being claimed was not about weakness or dependence. It was about trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. Lyra's bond had guided him, but he had also proven his own strength. The young aliens who had watched him closely approached. "You are different from what we expected," one said. "You think carefully and act with respect. That is rare." Ravi smiled. "I am learning," he said. "Your people have taught me much, and I want to keep learning." Lyra's tail rested lightly on his shoulder as they walked away from the plaza. "You did well, Ravi," she said. "Many humans would have panicked or rushed. You stayed calm and thought carefully. That is why you are worthy of my trust." Ravi felt pride mixed with humility. He had survived the trial, but he also knew that the journey was not over. Being claimed was not just about a single day or a single challenge. It was about continuing to learn, respecting the bond, and facing future challenges together. Later, as they walked through quieter streets, Lyra explained more about her people's traditions. She spoke of bonds, respect, and the importance of actions over words. Ravi listened closely, realizing that every lesson was connected to what he had just experienced in the trial. The colony's strength came from its unity, and every member, human or alien, had a role to play. By evening, they returned to the terrace where Ravi had spent so many reflective moments. The sun was low, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange. Lyra's tail wrapped around him gently, a familiar comfort. "Today you have done more than survive a trial," she said. "You have shown that humans can learn, respect, and act with courage. That is why you are with me. Not because I protect you, but because we trust each other." Ravi nodded. He felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Lyra, but to the colony as a whole. He realized that being claimed was not about dependence. It was about partnership. As night fell, the lights of the colony glowed softly. Ravi felt tired but fulfilled. The trial had tested him, but it had also taught him valuable lessons. Courage, patience, respect, and understanding were more important than any skill he had brought from his human world. Lyra's tail rested lightly against him as they watched the stars appear in the alien sky. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will continue learning about our history and our ways. You have proven yourself, but there is still much to understand. Ravi looked at her and smiled. He knew that challenges would come again, but he also knew that he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of something larger, guided by trust, respect, and the bond they shared. The trial was over, but the journey had only just begun. Ravi felt ready for whatever lay ahead, knowing that he and Lyra would face it together. The morning sun bathed the colony in soft golden light. Ravi awoke with a sense of anticipation. Yesterday's trial had been challenging, but it had also changed something inside him. He no longer felt like a mere visitor. He felt part of Lyra's world, connected not only to her but also to the colony itself. Lyra was waiting outside his quarters, her tail gently swaying. "Good morning, Ravi," she said. "Today you will see more of our history and understand why trust and respect are so important in our colony." Ravi nodded. "I am ready to learn," he said. He could feel the light touch of her tail against his waist, a reassuring presence. They walked through the streets, passing markets and workshops. People nodded to them, some with curiosity, others with approval. Ravi realized that the events of the trial had shifted the way many aliens saw him. He was no longer just a human visitor. He was someone who had earned a place in their world, even if temporarily. Lyra led him to a large hall with walls that glowed softly. Inside, intricate murals depicted the history of her people, how they had built the colony, overcome challenges, and protected one another. Ravi stared at the images, fascinated. Each mural told a story of cooperation, courage, and wisdom. "These are the lessons of our past," Lyra explained. "Our strength comes from unity. We do not judge by size, shape, or species. We judge by actions, respect, and heart. That is why your actions matter, Ravi." Ravi studied the murals carefully. He could see the struggles and triumphs of Lyra's people. He realized that they valued trust above all else. To be claimed by someone like Lyra was not a privilege lightly given. It was a test, a bond, and a responsibility. As they moved through the hall, Lyra stopped at a mural showing a warrior protecting a small group of aliens from danger. "Do you see this?" she asked. "Protection is not just about strength. It is about courage, judgment, and care. That is what your trial showed. You acted with your mind and heart, and that earned you respect." Ravi felt a warmth in his chest. He had thought that being claimed meant he needed to rely entirely on Lyra. But he now understood that it was also about him showing his own courage and care. Their bond was mutual. After the history hall, Lyra led Ravi to a garden filled with unusual plants. Some were tall and shimmering, while others had soft, glowing leaves. "Our garden is a place of reflection," she said. "Here, we learn patience and observation. Every plant, every movement, teaches us something about balance and respect." Ravi walked slowly, observing the plants. He noticed small details, the way a leaf turned toward the sun, how the flowers opened in response to movement, and how insects interacted gently with the plants. Lyra watched him, pleased with his attention. "You see carefully," she said. "That is important. In our colony, observing is as important as acting. Understanding comes before judgment. You are learning quickly, Ravi." Ravi smiled. "I want to understand. I want to respect your ways." Lyra's tail pressed lightly against him, a gentle affirmation. "That is why you are here. You choose to learn, and that makes the bond strong. Trust is not given only by one. It is built together." Later, they visited a workshop where artisans crafted intricate devices. Ravi watched as they worked with precision and care. He was allowed to assist, guided by Lyra. He carefully adjusted a few components under her supervision, learning the balance between patience and action. Each success brought a small nod from the artisans, signaling approval. By midday, Ravi felt a growing connection to the colony. He saw how every individual contributed to the whole. Respect and cooperation were not just rules, they were the foundation of life here. And he began to see that humans, though different, could also add value if they were willing to learn and act with care. As the sun lowered in the sky, Lyra led him to a quiet terrace overlooking the colony. The view was breathtaking. Towers reflected the colors of the sky, and the streets below moved in harmony, full of life and purpose. Lyra's tail rested lightly around Ravi's waist, a familiar comfort. "Ravi," she said, "you have learned more than just our customs. You have learned to observe, to act with care, and to respect the balance of our world. That is why you are truly worthy of being claimed. Not because I said so, but because you chose to understand." Ravi looked at her, understanding the depth of her words. Being claimed was not about possession. It was about mutual trust, shared responsibility, and respect for each other's strengths. He realized that he was no longer just following Lyra. He was contributing to the bond, growing with her and with the colony. "You see, Ravi," Lyra continued, "strength is not only physical. Humans have courage and thought that can change situations. You have shown that. That is why others in the colony now see you differently. They see not a stranger, but someone willing to learn and act with care." Ravi felt pride and humility at the same time. The recognition of his actions was meaningful, but he also understood that trust was fragile. It had to be maintained through continued respect and effort. As night fell, the colony lights glowed softly. Ravi and Lyra sat together on the terrace, watching the stars appear. Her tail rested lightly against him, a gentle warmth and reminder of their bond. "Tomorrow," Lyra said, "you will meet even more of our people. Some may be skeptical. Some may test you in ways you do not expect. But remember what you have learned. Trust, respect, and courage will guide you. And I will be beside you, as always." Ravi nodded, feeling a quiet determination. He had come far in a short time. He had faced challenges, learned new ways, and begun to understand a world so different from his own. And he knew that the bond he shared with Lyra was more than protection, it was trust, friendship, and understanding. The stars shone above, and Ravi felt a deep sense of peace. Being claimed had taught him more than he could have imagined. It was not about ownership or control. It was about learning, acting with care, and growing together. Lyra's tail rested gently around him, a symbol of trust and connection. Ravi realized that he had truly begun to belong, not just to her, but to the colony itself. And that understanding filled him with hope and confidence for the days ahead. The colony was alive with energy as the sun rose over the crystal towers. Ravi felt a calm confidence this morning. The trials, the lessons, and the challenges of the past days had changed him. He no longer felt like an outsider. He was part of Lyra's world, and the bond they shared had grown strong. Lyra waited for him near the terrace. Her tail swayed gently in the morning light, curling lightly around her legs. When she saw Ravi, her eyes softened, and the tip of her tail brushed his waist, a familiar gesture of connection and trust. "Good morning, Ravi," she said. "Today, you will walk with me through the central colony. People will see your bond, and you will show them that trust can cross worlds." Ravi nodded, feeling the warmth of her presence. He had learned much in the past days, and he understood now that their bond was more than a claim. It was a partnership, a shared trust that had been earned through patience, courage, and understanding. As they walked, Ravi noticed the way people looked at him. Children waved and smiled, elders nodded in approval, and many adults glanced with curiosity. The skepticism of the past had begun to fade. The colony now saw him not as an outsider, but as someone willing to learn and respect their ways. Lyra's tail rested lightly against him, a gentle reminder that he was protected, but also respected. They reached the central plaza, where merchants and workers moved about their tasks. Ravi walked beside Lyra with steady steps, aware of how others were watching. Some whispered, others stared in admiration, and a few still seemed cautious. But Ravi felt no fear. He understood now that trust and respect were earned through actions, and he had learned to act with care. A group of young aliens approached him, their eyes curious. "You have done well," one said. "You think carefully and act with respect. We have not seen a human like you before." Ravi smiled. "I am learning," he said. "Your people have taught me much, and I want to keep learning." Lyra's tail pressed lightly against his back, as if affirming his words. "That is why you are with me," she whispered. "You are learning. You are growing. That is the bond we share." Later, they came to a workshop where artisans were crafting delicate devices. Ravi observed quietly, remembering the lessons he had learned. One of the young artisans, a blue-scaled alien, approached him. "Do you wish to help?" they asked. Ravi nodded. "I would like to try," he said. Guided by Lyra, he carefully assisted, adjusting components with patience and attention. The artisans watched closely, and when he completed the task, they nodded with approval. Ravi felt a quiet pride. He had contributed, and his actions had earned their respect. After the workshop, Lyra led him to the garden. The plants swayed gently, and soft light filtered through the leaves. "Our garden is a place to reflect and understand," she said. "Every being, every movement, teaches a lesson. Today, you will see how your actions affect not only me but the whole colony." Ravi walked slowly, observing the plants and the people around him. He realized that every small action, every gesture of respect, could influence the balance of the colony. Being claimed by Lyra was not about control. It was about responsibility, understanding, and connection. By afternoon, a message came that a small energy disturbance had appeared near the outskirts of the colony. Ravi and Lyra moved quickly to see the issue. A minor device had malfunctioned, and a few aliens were trapped on one side of a barrier. Ravi's mind raced, but he remembered his lessons. With careful observation and steady hands, he adjusted the device, stabilizing the barrier and allowing everyone to move safely. The crowd that had gathered cheered quietly. Ravi felt a surge of confidence. He had acted decisively, using what he had learned from Lyra and the colony. Her tail pressed against his back in silent pride, and he realized that their bond had given him the courage to act when it mattered most. As evening approached, Ravi and Lyra returned to the terrace overlooking the colony. The sky was painted in soft shades of pink and orange. The streets below moved with harmony, full of life and purpose. Ravi felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. "You see, Ravi," Lyra said, "the colony now sees you not as a stranger, but as someone who respects our ways and contributes to our strength. Your actions, your patience, and your understanding have shown them that humans can be trusted." Ravi looked at her, understanding the depth of her words. "I did not do this alone," he said. "You guided me, and I learned. This bond is what gave me courage." Lyra's eyes softened, and her tail wrapped lightly around his waist. "That is the meaning of being claimed. It is not about ownership. It is about trust, growth, and partnership." We protect each other and learn together. Ravi smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He had come to this colony as a visitor, unsure and curious. Now he had earned respect, learned new ways, and built a bond that transcended differences. Lyra's trust had changed him, and in turn, he had shown that humans could be worthy of that trust. As night fell, the colony lights glowed softly. Ravi and Lyra sat together on the terrace, watching the stars. Her tail rested lightly against him, a symbol of connection, trust, and understanding. Ravi realized that this bond would continue to grow, guiding him in the days to come. Tomorrow, Lyra said, we will continue our journey. You will meet new challenges, and some may test your courage. But remember what you have learned. Trust, respect, and understanding will guide you. And I will be with you, always. Ravi nodded. He felt a quiet determination. The journey had been long, filled with challenges, lessons, and surprises. But he had grown, not just as a human, but as someone who could be trusted and respected in this alien world. The stars above shone brightly, and Ravi knew that this was only the beginning. Being claimed by Lyra had opened a new path, one of trust, friendship, and mutual respect. He was no longer just an outsider. He was part of something greater, and he was ready to face whatever the future held. Her tail pressed gently against him once more, a symbol of their bond. Ravi smiled, feeling the warmth of connection and the strength that came from understanding and trust. Together, they would continue their journey, side by side, showing that bonds could bridge worlds and that courage and respect could create a new future for humans and aliens alike.